Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Now that Russia has invaded Ukraine, questions are being asked. Will Russia be removed or blocked from the SWIFT network? Which, of course, is the network that's utilized primarily to move money around the planet. It's not literally the correspondent banking system, but it's so damn close it might as well be, because the SWIFT network is what the vast majority of financial institutions utilized. And so, if that were to happen, and that hasn't happened to this point, but if Russia were to be blocked, will RippleNet and XRP and on-demand liquidity be used as a workaround for Russia if the powers that be actually removed Russia and blocked Russia's financial institutions from the SWIFT network? Would RippleNet step in and that technology be used with the on-demand liquidity and XRP as a bridge currency? In a word, no. But this topic has been widely discussed within the XRP community today, and for understandable reasons, so I'm going to throw my two cents on the matter. But I do want to be clear at the outset, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. Now look, Russia, if they were, imagine this, if it actually happened, and Russia's cut off from the SWIFT network, would they just utilize cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin or XRP? Now, if you're talking about individual cryptocurrencies outside of RippleNet, okay, that's fine. That's plausible. In that case, you could say, okay, fine. Maybe even XRP could be used for whatever Russia's purposes would be. They could pick whatever cryptocurrency they want, because these cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and XRP, they're decentralized. People can do whatever the hell they want with them. But specifically, if you're talking about RippleNet being used to circumvent regulations, that's a firm no. That's absolutely not going to happen. And I'm going to flesh out the idea of why. But take a look at this tweet from Attorney John Deaton. This caught my attention. He tweeted this out yesterday morning. If Russia decides to use Bitcoin and or other crypto as a way to avoid sanctions, I'm afraid our leaders will have a typical knee-jerk reaction. Yeah, I anticipate that as well. It's the nature of decentralized systems, but it's not the end of the world. So understand, like, all these transactions, they're on public ledgers, you can track them. And so if you don't like the people that are engaging in the movement of such funds, whether it's Bitcoin or XRP or pick your crypto, you can still there can still be geopolitical implications of that. So knee-jerk reaction doesn't make sense. I could see them doing that, having some sort of knee-jerk reaction and saying, this is why we shouldn't have crypto, rah, 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 rah. Old man yells at cloud, you know, that whole thing, The Simpsons. But it doesn't make sense, because again, you can still impose sanctions against people that behave in like this, you know, utilizing cryptocurrency to move money around, if that's a problem. So we'll see if that even happens. Now, right now, again, Russia is still allowed to participate within the SWIFT network, and so there was this tweet that was shared by Anthony Pompliano, very well known in the world of crypto, and he tweeted out, the United States and their allies will refrain from banning Russia from the SWIFT system. And so I retweeted that and wrote, what does this tell you? And it can tell you a number of things, but one of the things I had in mind in particular is that the powers that be are not particularly interested in taking such a dramatic act. Maybe they're afraid of Russia, because that's not the only thing. I mean, what's Russia's greatest export? I mean, you understand that it's not like they're manufacturing technology, really. Like, it's not like they're making the iPhone. So where's their money being made? Well, they're exporting a lot of oil. That's for damn sure. And so where are the sanctions on that export? Well, the truth of the matter is that too many nations rely upon that. And so Russia could retaliate. If you come down on Russia, they're going to retaliate as well. And so that's mostly what I was thinking. Now, a lot of people had some interesting responses. I'm not going to go through and read all of them. But it just shows the degree to which the powers that be don't seem to be sufficiently serious to stop Russia from doing what it's doing. They're taking more of a hands-off approach, maybe posturing themselves verbally in a way that might sound tough, but any teeth to anything that anyone's doing here? Not sufficiently, it certainly wouldn't seem, right? And so there was this. I was tagged in a comment on Twitter by a guy named Mike Terrell, And shout out to you, Micah, if you're listening. Thank you very much for tagging me here. Tagging me along with my fellow XRP YouTubers, Brad Kimes and the Digital Asset Investor. And he had a perfectly reasonable question. And I want to flesh this out. I had a short answer for him, but I want to flesh it out a little bit more here. And so anyway, Mike tagged us and wrote, "Hey guys, do you guys know if there is info that RippleNet infrastructure is in place to step in and offset potential SWIFT sanctions to Russia, or would that not come into play?" And so I just wrote one sentence back. Twitter is not the best idea to share complex thoughts, so I prefer to do that on YouTube if I can, but I wrote, "RippleNet will not be used to circumvent regulations of any kind." It's a perfectly legitimate question. So Mike, again, I hope you're watching. I just want to say thank you very much for tagging me. Reasonable to talk about this and speculate. Well, let me share with you this document to put any question over this completely to bed. Here is a PDF that Ripple put together for prospective customers, and it's several years old. You can see this is dated October 2017. Doesn't matter. And it was titled Solution Overview, a comprehensive business overview for financial institutions on RippleNet. And I need to go down to page 21, and I want to cover just a couple parts of this, is that there will be no question as to whether or not RippleNet would be used to circumvent any sort of sanctions or regulations here. And the only thing I need to note before I start reading any of this is that what we know as RippleNet today, when this document was written, was known, the messaging portion was known as XCurrent. XCurrent was rebranded and renamed to just RippleNet. And the on-demand liquidity used to be called XRapid. So worth mentioning that for those of you that are newer, you may not be familiar with that. But I'm going to read it as is because, again, this is a several years old document. It doesn't matter, though, because what I'm covering is still true today. Nothing has changed. And so they have this section titled KYC and AML compliance processes, with KYC standing for Know Your Customer and AML standing for anti-money laundering. And so financial exchanges, financial institutions and even exchanges the world over, there's like it's up to them to make sure that they're compliant with these types of things. But check this out. Here's what Ripple wrote for their prospective customers. Use of XCurrent for payments does not impact a bank's compliance responsibilities. Recognizing this, Ripple's products are designed to complement a bank's existing customer onboarding, due diligence, and transaction monitoring programs. So let me pause. You'll see as I go through this. The individuals operating in the world of finance that have the duties of compliance, this doesn't change. The burden of compliance doesn't change by switching from Swift to RippleNet. It doesn't change at all. Now, so that's why I was saying earlier in the video, yes, if anybody wants to use a decentralized cryptocurrency, fine, and they're using it for intentions that are nefarious, or if they actually don't want to comply with any sort of requirements, okay, they can do that, but there could be ramifications, and so that's separate from RippleNet itself, which is Ripple's proprietary system. Anyway, the piece continues. When using XCurrent, a bank's customer onboarding and know your customer obligations, that's KYC obligations, remain unchanged. The bank maintains full responsibility for ongoing compliance with anti-money laundering and Office of Foreign Assets Control, or, more broadly, sanctions. Legislation and regulations. Banks are also responsible for ongoing monitoring of transactions conducted through XCurrent in accordance with their existing transaction monitoring program requirements. U.S. banks also maintain responsibility for compliance with foreign correspondent account record keeping and due diligence requirements specified under Section 312 of the USA Patriot Act. Use of Ripple does not alter these obligations of the bank. There you go. Could not be more clear. Use of Ripple does not alter these obligations of the bank. And so I can see why people are asking this, and it's a perfectly intelligent thing to question, but the firm answer is no, this changes nothing, because the people that are required to comply with existing regulations and such, nothing changed for them from one system to the next. It doesn't matter what system they use. They're still required to comply. And then check this portion out. While the bank's compliance with AML and sanctions obligations remain unchanged, timing of its sanctions screening activities may need to be altered given the real-time nature of XCurrent transactions. So I just thought it was fun to note. Yes, you're still required to comply with all this stuff, but they're basically saying the messaging portion here with XCurrent is so blazing fast, you may want to make sure that you're catching everything you might potentially need to catch to make sure that you stay compliant. They're warning that the system's too fast. So I kind of got a kick out of that as well. And so that's, it is what it is. And so again, so the answer, yes, fine, technically, you can use any decentralized cryptocurrency for any illegal activity and choose to not comply with the legacy financial system. But with RippleNet, no. The answer is no, that's definitely not going to happen. And then Charles Gasparino shared the following, who, of course, is a journalist with Fox Business Network. Question I have, and so do a lot of Wall Street executives. Why did we take off the table barring Russia and its banks and oligarchs from SWIFT? It would be draconian and disruptive, but the impact would have been swift, so to speak, as opposed to long-game sanctions that obviously didn't deter. Yeah, and so I think the answer, for my humble opinion, my speculation, is that they're just not serious about stopping this because the blowback from Russia would be severe to a lot of nations. I think that's just plainly the case. And that's why I responded to him and I wrote, couldn't help but notice a lack of sanctions on Russia's primary exports. Is what it is, folks. It is what it is. I'm not seeing a whole lot of seriousness from nations about stopping Russia. So it is what it is. I'll go ahead and wrap up there, though. I am not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.